Howdy all, grab yourselves a beer, it's time to talk Path of Exile. And today's news consisted of two hideout reveals, which I really recommend that you watch Grinding Gear Games' own video on. It's a very short one, and it shows off both of the hideouts. But also had 4 new divination cards, and I wanted to quickly go through what's involved with those. So the first up is Alone in the Darkness, which is a 5-card set for a Delve unique item. The 3 Delve bosses, Ahu, Kurgle, and All. And now Ahu has a much longer name than that, but no one ever remembers what it is. These drop quite a number of unique items that can be fairly difficult to source, and also, in particular, they drop the pieces that when sold together will provide the Precursor's Emblem unique. Now these unique items are not staggeringly rare across an entire economy, but individually they can be quite rare, and there's a few that are quite noteworthy. So first up is the map Doriani's Machinarium, which is a very high level maze map, although it's actually only a level 5 map that it's based on. It's actually close to a tier 13 map in terms of the monsters that are contained in it. It drops a lot of maps. Everything that drops has a chance to be corrupted, which is mostly upside, and then it has a build your own unique device, sort of design built into it. That map is a lot of fun, and I highly recommend trying it once. It's quite expensive at the moment, and usually is, and that's because it's something like 1 in 5 times that that the relevant boss spawns. I think it drops from Ahu that you can get it, and there's just not all that many Ahus that you find. Mostly people want it for the Atlas completion bonus, and so that's going to be a bit more available from this card, Alone in the Darkness. Additionally, there's the various valley and mountain sets of 3 rings that when you vendor them together, you will get a Precursor's Emblem if you vendor the right combination of 3. And generally these can be, like, they vary a bit in their utility. And the Precursor's Emblem is like the Watcher's Eye in that it has a lot of random mods on it, most of which are mediocre, some of which are absolutely amazingly powerful. So one example that you have is that you can gain a mod that gives you a chance whenever you would gain a particular charge, a power charge, an endurance charge, or a frenzy charge, that instead you have a chance to gain your maximum number of charges instead. That's one of the powerful mods. There's a bunch of other mods. They all interact with power charges, frenzy charges, or endurance charges in some way, and the item will always have 3 of these mods. In any case, Alone in the Darkness will be a card set that I don't think will be trivial to attain, but should be something that, depending on where it spawns. I mean, of course, it could be in an unfarmable zone like the Pillars of Adun map, unique map that you might just run as often as you can and then sell off your Alone in the Darkness cards to other players. But if it's in a spot that can be target farmed, then it'll be something that I think a fair number of people will try to target farm. The other thing that drops from the Delve items is Hail Negator, which is a very defensive helmet that is pretty mediocre when it drops with 1 Abyssal Socket, but like a lot of the other Abyss-themed items, it has a chance to drop with 2 Abyssal Sockets. When it drops with 2 Abyssal Sockets, 2 Abyssal Sockets can very easily get you upwards of 90 life, and if you're willing to spend quite a bit on Abyss Jewels, I'm sort of talking, if we have 2 Abyss Jewels that are an Exalted Orb each, then you'll be able to upgrade that to have not just the 90 plus life, but also quite a considerable amount of elemental damage to attacks or to spells or to minion damage, depending upon the character that you're building for. And then furthermore, if you're willing to spend a lot more on Abyss Jewels, then you can focus that onto a single element, and you can potentially gain additional powerful utility things like a percentage chance to gain Onslaught when you kill a monster. All in all, the Hail Negator is a 2-socket version, is a very powerful item, and is one that will be in more available in the trade leagues as a result of the Alone in the Darkness card. It's also an excellent choice for using your Eternal Labyrinth enchants on, because although it's an expensive item, if you do hit one of the enchants that it is best on, then you can get a staggering amount for them, because there's just not very many of them in the economy. Second divination card is the Journey, and this is a very simple currency one, 3 of 3 for a Harbinger's Orb. Harbinger's Orbs, if you're not familiar with them, they were added for the Harbinger League and then discontinued and then sort of partially brought back into the game in later leagues. They take you use them on a map, and they re-roll it as a random map that is one tier higher than the map that you put in. So if you start out with a tier 11 Chateau map, and that map is rare, then it will return a random tier 12 map. That could be, for instance, an Ivory Temple. Now, all of these are based upon the 3.5 Atlas from Betrayal League. Of course, that Atlas is being overhauled, so who knows whether those maps will remain tier 11 and 12, but that's the basic principle. However, the Harbinger Orb has a hidden function as well, where it has a percentage chance to upgrade the map into the Beachhead unique map. Community isn't certain what this percentage is. Some people think it's 1 in 6, others believe it's 1 in 5, and I certainly haven't done enough testing to be able to determine which of those, if either, it actually is. But Harbinger Orbs are certainly always in high demand as a result of this, and I think that this card, the Journey, will be something that will make them more accessible in future leagues. And the image that you see here is actually the final boss fight of the Beachhead unique map. If you've never done that, definitely give it a shot. It is quite a bit of fun. The Messenger divination card is an interesting one. It's for a Harbinger fragment. When you complete this encounter, fight the big portal with that's guarded by 6 Harbingers at the end of the Beachhead map, you receive not a unique item, but 1/3 of a unique item. And so there's a series of different Harbinger unique items. Some of them are quite popular. One of them in particular, the Tempest Binding unique helmet, is one that, whilst it's not used a huge amount these days, it's clear that it's the inspiration for all of the Shaper and Elder rare items that give socketed skills are supported by level 16 this support gem, level 18 that support gem. It was the first item that was genuinely good on its own that had those sorts of mods on it, at least since the very early days of the game. I believe that the Bringer of Rain had previously been in that category as well. Then it got nerfed and fell out of favour when it was buffed later, so it's not really being used much. In any case, they drop as 1/3 of an item, and you need to compile all 3 pieces. And it's not just that you need 3/3, you need the first third, the second third, and the third third. So compiling those can be quite difficult. Now these Harbinger fragments, getting a random one from the Messenger divination card, it's basically the end reward of the Beachhead map, but minus all of the currency shards and all of the maps that you would have picked up along the way. This will be a card that I can see, if it drops from a farmable area with a reasonably high drop rate, I think a number of players will try to compile many sets of this. It's the sort that if you were to turn in 30 or 40 sets of it, you will get several of the unique items, as well as a whole lot of spare pieces over to either trade to other players or to rot in your stash. The interesting thing with this is that the flavor text is in the Harbinger language, and I believe players have not yet translated this. The sort of theories, I believe, are that there's, like, this is a symbol here, so the first line has 5 symbols with 4 specific joining words. So I believe that, for instance, this joining word and this joining word are the same as each other, whereas every other word on here is unique. This word, however, is repeated several times. I've not really looked into progress that's been made on cracking this code, but it's interesting that the designer of this divination card does not actually know what this flavor text means. It's been designed in the Harbinger language by the GGG devs. Last up we have Dark Temptation, which is something that I think is going to be very popular with solo self-found players, and is also going to be an item, that, a divination card, that most people running trade leagues will remove from their loot filters. The Obliteration Unique Wand is one that causes enemies to explode, doing massive chaos damage when they die. And it's a wand that is a very powerful build around unique, that's fallen a little bit out of favor recently, but is still a solid choice, and particularly can be good in conjunction with the Occultist's similar, with a passive node that the Occultist has access to, that also causes monsters to explode for chaos damage on kill. This can cause some chain reaction effects that can decimate entire packs. In any case, the Obliteration Wand is powerful, if a bit too common to be valuable in trade leagues, and as a result, I think that wherever this item drops, so wherever this divination card drops, I think there'll be people that will look to complete a set. So those are the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th divination cards for the new league, and I believe it's the last ones. But definitely load up the official GGG website and check out the Sanguine and Divided hideouts. The Sanguine hideout is based upon the tile set of the Defiled Cathedral, and the Divided hideout has one side of it based upon the Temple map, and the other side based upon the Moon Temple map. So there's a real Solaris Lunaris theme going on there. And you'll see a very similar effect in if you've ever done the Twilight Temple unique map, which unfortunately is fairly rare, but is well worth checking out if you've never seen it before. And we don't yet know where these are going to drop. I believe they will be, well, I certainly believe the Sanguine one will be in the Crimson Temple map, and the Divided hideout could be in the Moon Temple, it could be in the Temple, it could be in the Harbour Bridge, and it could be in the Twilight Temple unique map, which would be the first time that there's been anything in a unique map. But anyways, that's all I've got on today's news, and have a good one.